When you're looking for the right person, don't rush it
Right.
and don't just base it off a gut feeling.
Mhm.
What we do is we do PDP testing, right? PDP testing to find who's got the right role, where the team members that you hire, what are their strengths at? Where's their best role going to be? It can be tested. So when you're taking the time to find someone, don't just base it off your gut feeling.
Mhm.
Well, two parts gut, one part fact, right?
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. And I am here with a gentleman that I have not gotten to spend too much time with, but you've heard from him before. So I'm excited to get to know him a little bit more here on the podcast today. Welcome, Dr. Oz. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dr. Lona. It is awesome to be back. I'm excited.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear a little more about your team and your story. So, Dr. Oz has had quite a busy last quarter having a baby here. So, congratulations. And
Thank you.
we're going to talk about team and how important team is, especially as your life continues to change and grow and expand. And sometimes expansion means adding a member to your family team and relying more on your practice team. So, Tim, why don't you just tell us a little more about your life right now and then also how important your team in the practice has been?
Love it, Doc. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm going to definitely start with is when you add an additional family member,
Mhm.
it is like, hey, you don't know what you're going to get. Baby could be sleeping on time,
Mhm.
all of a sudden fussy, you're not sleeping,
Mhm.
all the above. So it's been an additional chaos to your normal routine in your life, but it's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Right.
And all the family members listening into the podcast and all the parents completely understand. And I understand finally what you've all been talking about with kids.
Yes.
The, the biggest thing though is you don't know what's going to be happening with the birthing process.
Mhm.
And something that really happened with us is a normal birth did not happen. It was quite a stressful and quite a traumatic birth.
Mhm.
And normally, you would have a birth, a couple days, and then mums usually bounce back. They're not 100%, but they're able to move, be independent.
Mhm.
What happened with us was a flip around.
Mhm.
I won't fully open the topic up yet because it's still a very fresh experience.
Mhm.
However, we were in the hospital as an emergency for over 9 days.
Mhm.
So that's 9 days where I'm not present in the practice. That's 9 days where I'm not being able to serve people, look after the team, make sure the practice is running. Like I have a full survival mode on just who's in front of me,
Mhm.
my family.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you've ever been in a situation like that, Dr. Lona, first of all,
Mhm.
or if there's listeners that have been in a situation where life happens and all of a sudden the practice that you love and you care for is just completely not the priority at that point in time.
Yeah. Well, I've had two babies, so I know about leaving, but not survival mode from babies. But I went through my mom passing, which was a really horrific experience, where same scenario in the sense that like what was happening outside the four walls of practice was more important for my presence to be there. Hmm.
Yeah. And there's always a different situation that can happen in life. And the reason why I bring this up, because it's not only just because it's so fresh,
Hmm.
is because team becomes so important.
Yes.
How much time and energy you spend on your A player team dictates how well your practice is going to survive when you're not there.
Hmm.
And I don't want to just use the word survive. I want to use the word thrive or thrive. I just can't say TH. Terrible. The very difficult. But really, how well your practice thrives.
Yes.
So, how solid is your team? How solid are the foundations in your practice where if you step away, let's say for 3 months, is
Mhm.
your practice gonna stay the same? Is it gonna dip down, or are you gonna actually grow?
Or do you have to close your doors because you have no team?
Yeah.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's not a picture I like to see at all.
No. Right.
I just think about the community and all the people that you love,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden now those people aren't being looked after.
Mhm.
Going back to the sickness model. So
Yes.
yeah, so I thought we'd start there,
Mhm.
and I'll pass it straight to you, and then we can open it up even more. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Well, tell us a little bit about you building this team that you have because you are relying on them more than maybe you had anticipated in this moment and these moments, now that your baby is here and your wife is recovering. So when you know, are reflecting back on what has led up to this point and having the solid team that you have, like take us a little bit through your own learning curve in building a team. Like, how fast did that happen where you were getting A players? Was that something you knew that you were going to be great at, or was there a little bit of a learning curve there?
There's a massive learning curve.
Yeah.
There is a massive learning curve, and it really started with, building the blocks.
Hmm.
You don't just achieve an amazing team from the get-go. You got to build it. You got to work towards it, and you got to nurture and grow it. So you don't just start a hiring process, get a whole group of people together, and just be like, all right, you're hired, you're hired, you're hired. So I've got a Chica, I've got a Coca now, I've
Hmm.
got a tech CA, I've got a new patient concierge, I've got three associates, and now, boom, we're ready to go. Let's make it happen. You guys just smash out the whole practice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
No, it does not happen. It usually starts with where are you in your practice right now, and who's your first hire going to be? Usually it's going to be a CA.
Hmm.
So normally you're the doc, you're doing everything when you start the practice. And the first thing you want to usually hand off is or delegate is your CAs, the CA admin duties.
Hmm.
First of all, because they can do a better job than you. Like I'm terrible on the phone. You put me on a phone call script, or if I'm randomly at the front desk, which I do sometimes to be annoying to the team, drop hand grenades. The front desk kills me. However, you're not the master of that role. Your CAs are. That's usually the first step. So you hire either a Chica, you hire a Boca, or you hire a Coca, the
Hmm.
Ascension.
So
From
check
there,
CA, a back office CA, a checkout
thank you.
CA. Yes.
It's just terminology we used to use all the time, right?
Yes.
But there are docs here listening saying, what is a Chica?
Hmm.
What is a Coca?
Hmm.
So think of a Chica as someone who's in charge and the boss of today.
Hmm.
That's usually the first person I look for. Someone that's going to be able to tell me who's coming in, what's happening today, where your focus needs to be. At the
Yep.
same time, greeting people, having that high energy and
Hmm.
promoting chiropractic. They
Hmm.
are promoting the amazing part of it to get people to refer.
Yes.
That's usually the first part. Then the second part when you're looking for team is associate doctors.
Hmm.
And now this is a big one because most relationships, most associate doctor relationships, they fail. I believe it was 55% of associate relationships, quote me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, I've heard pretty rough numbers as well. I don't know what the actual number is, but
yeah, something like 55%, perhaps more, maybe slightly less, of associate relationships fail. And that's not nice for the owners.
Mhm.
That's not nice for the associates.
Right.
Because from my previous story, you may have heard my first year out was very difficult. I barely made $20,000 working as an associate, didn't have the mentorship, didn't have the full coaching. And, I was out there trying to do the best I can.
Mhm.
However, there are ways to make it a successful relationship. There are ways where if the owner has created systems in place that doesn't just randomly say, I'm going to onboard an associate. They've got this. They know what they're doing. All right, you ready, Doc? Smash
Mhm.
it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Versus, let me show you how we do things here. This
Mhm.
is exactly how I do it. Okay. You just need to be 80% as good as me, and that's more than enough. Or they're even better, which is
Mm-hmm.
a win-win scenario,
Mm-hmm.
which when you break it down, there's the way you pay your associates, there's the way you structure the relationship as well, and there are rooms for growth
Mm-hmm.
and what their roles are. Are they, caregiver docs? Are they business builders? Or they're more entrepreneurial? That changes how you're going to look after the doctor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Does that all make sense so far, Doc?
Yeah, that's great. And I think breaking it down like that too is, especially because we call this the build podcast, right? You might be listening saying, I have one CA right now, right? But part of, what Dr. Oz is, telling us all to do there is to just really identify like what would the next hire be as I'm starting to build out this team, build out my, analogy being that if we're having a baseball team, we have to have a pitcher, a catcher, a left fielder, maybe we're running a pickup game and so we only have a few people playing. Well, which positions do you put them in? And then if you had a full roster, like which positions would be there? And you're slowly building that out, right?
Massive.
Mhm.
So it's not about doing it all at once.
Right.
You need to make sure that you're addressing each one at where you are at that point in time. So, like one example I can give you. So let's say you're in a situation where you're in survival mode,
Mhm.
or you have to step away from the practice.
Mhm.
If you have a full team of CAs, you have no associates yet.
Mhm.
There's no reason why you can't hire a locum doctor.
Mhm.
If you have the systems in your practice and your CAs are all on top of everything, they can actually look after the locum doctor and the doctor can be doing the right things,
Yep.
right? Because you have those systems already in place. Or you can just say, do whatever.
Mhm.
How do you think that's going to turn out?
Mhm.
Right? So, but once you have an associate on board and they're A players, they got their heart in the right place, they've got the talent, and then the skill is not the biggest thing. Everyone builds up in skill. I'm sure you remember, Doc, when you first graduated, you were like, man, I'm the best adjuster. I've got this.
I don't know if I did think that, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you probably thought you were competent, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
I could serve that to the best of my ability. You walk out and you're like, nah, I got so much to learn.
Hmm. Definitely.
So, skill can be taught and it builds with experience and over time.
Sure.
And so, as long as they got their heart first, they
Yeah.
have a love of chiropractic, that cannot falter.
Hmm.
The talent is always beautiful to have. They need to be an A player, they need to be masters of their role. So, that comes to you as the owner. Am I putting this person in the right role?
Hmm.
For example, when we do our report of findings, we've talked about the in the build podcast, the day one, day two report of findings process, how important that is. There are some doctors that are masters at the reporting process that can just sit down, do recommendations,
Hmm.
sit through the process, and do it really comfortably. And there are some docs that are just, you know what, I just want to adjust people.
Hmm.
Can I just adjust them? Give them the loving, serving care.
Hmm.
And I don't like to do the whole report a findings process and talk a person down, give them my recommendations. They still can do it, but it's not their strength.
Hmm.
So you put them where they're strongest at.
Hmm.
I'm sure you found that it works the same way.
Yes, definitely. And I think to your point too of I loved when you said like if you have your CAs well laid out and they are well trained, they could run the doctor, right? Because again, you might be listening thinking like I don't even have an associate yet, let alone someone that's just doing patient care versus conversion process, right? But this idea that we want to hire people that have the heart in the right place and have talent. And sometimes that talent will become more defined as the team becomes more intricate in which roles we have. So we can place people in a more defined zone of genius as the team becomes more intricate. This is the goal of creating leverage and creating more capacity um, because we're bringing more energy and more focus, right? So,
Massively.
mhm.
And one of my favorite words is hire slow,
Mhm.
fire fast,
Mhm.
really fast,
Mhm.
really slow.
Mhm.
When you're looking for the right person, don't rush it
Right.
and don't just base it off a gut feeling.
Mhm.
What we do is we do PDP testing. right? P2P testing to find who's got the right role, where the team members that you hire, what are their strengths at? Where's their best role going to be? It can be tested. So when you're taking the time to find someone, don't just base it off your gut feeling.
Mhm.
Well, two parts gut, one part fact, right? Because you can, I'm sure people have hired people before. I got a great feeling about this person. They hire them, they start, they're onboarded, and all of a sudden you're crossing your arms and you're like, why is there problems happening in the practice?
Mhm.
You know, why isn't the person working as well as I thought they would be?
Mhm.
Because they might be great in one aspect, but in the other aspect, the actual doing the work, it's a whole different story. So you got to make sure you're testing people.
Mhm.
And that's what we call the PDP testing and the profiling. But that's a whole another topic in discussion
Mhm.
that we can talk about in a future episode.
Right. Well,
Uh,
and some of this starts with just even knowing. I think many times we haven't done the work as the owner operator or as the CEO to clearly define what role we're hiring for. We've lumped too many roles together, or, we haven't spent a lot of time teasing out exactly what would the right work for this role be, not in this iteration, and then potentially where it would grow into in the future so that we can hire people that not only that have the heart and the vision for the mission, but then also have that skill set in previous work that they've maybe done, as well as just, when we look at how they even communicate, is this the right energy for this role? To, what you said earlier, like the check-in CA, that's the boss of today. I usually like say like that person is like the Energizer bunny many times. Like they want to set the pace for the practice. So if you hire someone who's high detail and high compliance to fit into that role, it's going to be a challenging fit for the entire team, right? But if we don't know that, we can make the mistake of hiring either somebody that's very similar to us for a role that actually they're not going to be successful in. And I think that's a common mistake is that we tend to hire people we like, not necessarily people who are designed for the role. And don't get me wrong, you can still like people, but you want to have a robust team with different skill sets as you're building it out, right?
you know, I love that. And something I love about the Build podcast is that you guys have been working on teaching people so well about where the most important parts of your practice are, where your systems need to be robust,
Hmm.
where your systems need to be all put into place. Because then you can actually decide where your next hire is going to be.
Hmm. Right.
Who's going to be able to help fill in that gap?
Hmm.
Because here's the thing that most people don't realize. When you hire a team and you start to onboard team and you start to grow, like for example, we're a team of 12 people. They're not just, workers. They're part of you. They're your second family,
Hmm.
right? You
Hmm.
see them just as much as you see your family at home.
Yep.
They're together helping you serve the chiropractic mission, helping save lives every single day. So how well do you create your systems so that your practice is successful? How well is your practice as a whole, if you step away, if something happens to you, can they make sure the practice runs?
Right.
Income still comes in, not just for yourself,
Hmm.
but so you can look after everyone else in the whole practice.
Hmm. So that.
That's such an important term.
Hmm.
And I thought I'd just head towards there because, I'm away now. I'm going to be most likely away for maybe 2 months,
Hmm.
perhaps even three. If I need to, I can do more,
Hmm.
right? Just depends on how the healing goes.
Hmm.
However, the most important thing is that everyone on the team is well looked after.
Hmm.
And so far, when you have, metrics and KPIs,
Yes.
I can just open up our practice metrics and say, hey, wait a minute, practice is going pretty solid at the moment, and I'm
Hmm.
not there. Maybe I should take more holidays.
Yeah. Yes. And your team has been positioned well to know what the expectations are with or without you for their roles, right? So that I think many times we think we're too busy, quote unquote, too busy to get some of these details in place or to spend the time working on the team and working on the practice to get like the standard operating procedures in place and the like training in place and the accountability rhythms like the meetings and whatnot's in place. But when something like this happens, you will have very much wish that you had more of that in place. So do it in advance because you can't afford not to, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I can't stress enough that if you spend the time, the energy, and the effort to build a beautiful team,
Mhm.
you're going to reap the rewards in so many different ways.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
just in terms of practice volume
Mhm.
or practice income. You're going to reap the rewards in the amount of people that you serve. Your team are going to be much more energized because they get to see the beautiful changes that they have an impact on.
Yes.
Like I can safely say that some of my team are amazing promoters, better than I am.
Mhm.
And I talk about chiropractic every single day. There's not a day that goes by I don't speak about it.
Mhm.
There's some team members that are just so good at connecting with people
Mhm.
that are like, oh, chiropractic, you should get your partner booked in. And I'm just like, how did you do that?
Mhm.
I've been working on them for 2 years.
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, you just speak to their levels. Like, oh, crazy.
Mhm.
So never forget that impact. If you spend the time, the energy, and the effort, some docs might be like, oh, it's going to be a waste of my time. It's going to be a waste of my money. Yeah, it's not going to work out.
Mhm.
Create your systems. You have it all in place and you hire the right person for the right time and you just build on top of it.
Mhm.
You're going to get there.
Mhm.
It's worth the time. It's worth the investment,
Mhm.
not just for the practice, for the people you serve, but also as an owner
Mhm.
to have that freedom, that peace of mind that places are going to be going in the right way when you have to step away.
Mhm. And it's not just for you too. There's then that durability piece for every position on the team, right? So if someone else has a crisis, we're able to run operations, for whatever reasons. It's not just crisis too. Maternity leaves, having multiple women doctors, like we've been through, I think, six births in our team in the last several years, and you know,
Amazing.
yes, it is. And it makes me very proud to say that we can do that. We can rally around each other so that the entire team has support. Um, and it comes from organization, taking the steps to like keep getting better at how we run things, how we communicate, the clarity that we have for each roles, the visibility into the roles, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? So slow and methodical. To your point, hire slow, fire fast, right?
Love it, Doc.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Mums are amazing. You guys go, like, I'm thinking of myself now as if I was a female chiropractor. I have to step away, be a mom, like
Mhm.
the amount of energy and attention that takes, and then have to come back to practice. Oh,
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think, for anyone listening to that wants to talk about like, how do you do that? How do you have babies and then nurse them? And like, I'm proud to say I think all of my doctors have ran at lunch to nurse babies for years, right? Like it takes a heavy lift to do that, but it also, takes showing each other that it's possible to do this. You can practice, you can have thriving practices and good work-life balance and still be a very connected parent, right?
yes.
So, anyways, both of us are happy to connect with anyone that, wants to connect about these type of questions. So Dr. Oz, where can they find you? How do they best reach out? Maybe your social media or your email?
Yeah, you can find me on, first of all, through the website. You can find me through Instagram, dr.ozcos, OZKOSE. And you can find me just pretty much at every immersion.
Hmm.
Not the US ones yet. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to coming there. But the Aussie ones, email, which is droz at theremarkablepractice.com. Reach out, any questions, if you want to build team, grow your practice. It's one of my favorite things is durability,
Mhm.
making sure that you are solid.
Yeah. So good. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your insights this morning, and I hope you get some sleep.
What, sleep?
Yeah. What's
Never
that?
heard of it before. What is that?
All
Thanks,
right.
Doc.
Yeah. Good luck. Go see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on.
Welcome to this portion of the podcast. I'm excited, as always, to have Jeff Langmaid with us. Jeff Langmaid is the smart chiropractor behind the products of Spark and Patient Pilot. And I want to start with a story from my own clinical perspective because I'm one that's very particular about how things get said to my clients, about what my practice puts out into the world for clients. And so anytime we get a lot of different things coming in from marketers. Hey, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. Whatever. We can bring patients in. We can bring patients in. Uh, and I'm always very leery of that because I'm like, no, I want it to sound like me. I want it to, come from my voice. If I've put enough stuff out over the last 18 years that if people have something that's not sitting right, they're going to be like, what's this? It's just not going to be congruent with our message previously. And then I found Patient Pilot and Dr. Jeff here, and I was the same way. It's like, is this going to sound right? I like the concept, which we'll talk about in a second, but I liked the concept. I liked the technology behind it, but is it going to sound like me? And then I read some of the emails, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have written these. Like, these are exactly how I would write it. Awesome, let's go. This is such a good product. So I really appreciate you for being the voice of those of us who are wellness chiropractor, family-based chiropractors, people who do things that aren't just reactive care, but also appreciate the fact that people have stuff going on from time to time. So thanks very much for that. And I wanted to ask you the question. Clearly, that's how the product, the Patient Pilot product, has been designed. I'll let you talk about the fact that it's a unique attraction tool in that it's not specifically for new patients who've never seen you, but for people who probably have seen you and are your ideal client because they've already been to you. So will you talk to the product of Patient Pilot a bit and what it specifically does for a clinic?
Yeah, Dr. Chris, thank you for having me on and thank you for paying the ultimate compliment to kick it off. One of the things I personally take pride in is writing great copy, right? And writing stories, writing messaging that inspire people to take action, that engage with them, and that meet them where they're at. And that's a difficult tightrope walk because we have, us as the chiropractors and the patients, and there's a massive gully and gap of knowledge between the two of us. So I really deeply appreciate what you said and love working with you,
You're
because
very
that's really
welcome.
what we're striving for. And as you
Yes.
alluded to, our goal is to help doctors move their net momentum more in the positive direction. Everybody thinks about new patient acquisition, but they forget about reactivations being just as important. New patients plus reactivations minus your inactives give you your net momentum in a nutshell. So reactivations is an area where we have focused because exactly what you said, many docs out there have been, you know, head down, bum up over a table for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years plus, taken care of and impacted hundreds, if not thousands of people in their community. Yet they're constantly still feeling the stress of needing more new patients. Now, I'm not saying reactivation, new patients are a part of being a chiropractor from the day you start for most of us until the day you end. But man, lighten the load a little bit, right? When you do a little bit of work with those hundreds, if not thousands of people by consistently communicating with them, many will raise their hand. If you look at yourself honestly in the mirror and say, as you have and have seen the benefit, I'm a good doc doing great work, and a majority of these people like me. Not all will say yes and come back tomorrow, but as I continue to connect with them and message them, and as we say, guide them on their journey to better health, some will raise their hand weekly, daily, monthly, and come back in. We think that's part of being a great chiropractor, just to start as a foundational principle, but it also is a really good business decision.
Yes. Absolutely. And I love that you went through Netmo so concisely there, because that's exactly what Netmo is. And if you're listening to this, you're like, whoa, what was that equation? I got to rewind there and listen to Dr. Jeff say that again. Your net momentum is to me, the most important wellness metric for your practice. It tells you whether you're growing, whether you're flat, or whether you're shrinking, and you hit it exactly. It's new patient acquisition, which, new start acquisition, I will say, which is new patients plus reactivations minus how many people are dropping out, which you have to be honest about that in your clinic, and you have to have a system around it, equals your net momentum. So, and very few people have excellent reactivation processes around. Uh, I'm going to throw in one more thing about your copy because you walk that entire tightrope and you do it in an email that can be read in literally 30 seconds. They are so concise and tight. They're so, so good. So that's another factor that I've found really improves open rate. If people have opened one and it's short, they're going to open the next. And so let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes, what the practitioner or their team will be able to see, because honestly, we run our reactivation campaign through Patient Pilot in my office because I want to reach out to the people who are already engaging in our content, and through your platform, we know who that is. Tell the listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we kind of jokingly on the inside in the company refer to a kind of X-ray vision for your patients, clients, practice members. And what we mean by that is sort of what you described, which is we're actually able to track not only clicks, right? Who's clicking to either come back in, ask a question, refer a friend, learn more about a body signal or a symptom that they're experiencing. Every time somebody clicks on one of those buttons in the emails, the provider receive a text and an email notification. That in itself is a big leap from just sending stuff out and hoping for the best. So there's a real-time feedback loop that allows the practice to be more proactive based upon the engagement of that patient. But we take it one more level, and where the X-ray component really comes in is we also track those that we call highly engaged. Who's consistently opening those emails and those messages? So, and we build what we call a smart patient recall list off of that so that you and your team have the opportunity to call down a patient recall list, not just based upon the fact that they haven't been seen in X amount of time. They might be totally disengaged, but actually based upon engagement. Now, why does that matter? That just basically helps the team be more efficient and more effective with their time. If you're making an outbound call to somebody that's been engaging with your content, that's a higher likelihood of conversion, of connection on that call than somebody you're just calling blindly based upon a date in the past. So the specificity around that and really helping a team be more efficient and effective is what we're about. Now, many patients will take care of the process for themselves. If they're clicking and you have online scheduling, we'll link right to that online scheduler. If you don't, we build a dynamic landing page. So we'll take care of docs one way or the other, and many patients take care of the process themselves without any intervention from the practice. But for those practices that really focus on having great systems and great processes, I'll pat ourselves on the back and say I think we have really the best system for patient reactivation specifically that empowers the practice to not only be proactive, but to be super consistent and to be efficient and effective with their time.
That's exactly it. I think the practices can utilize very easily the information that you give to create their own reactivation campaign beyond just the messages that are going out. And I appreciate you for that. That's how we, as the Remarkable Practice, help more people is by having our content and our coaching and connecting with success partners just like you guys that help further that mission for us. So here we are, we're recording this in June of 2025, smack in the middle of people just got through May in the early part of June, which sometimes gets wonky with attraction in general. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but that school thing can really throw family practices for a loop for sure. Talk to people about A, how do they get in touch with you? And B, why would it be a good idea to do this sooner than later?
Yeah, you can always connect with us at thesmartchiropractor.com. Again, that is thesmartchiropractor.com. That's the easiest place to connect, and we're very available across all social media channels. But thesmartchiropractor.com is the easiest place to learn more and to get started. And whether you're listening to this and it's still Q3, maybe we're rolling into Q4, I just would encourage everybody listening, make it a rock for you, the business owner, the practice owner. Make reactivations a rock for you this quarter, regardless of whether it's Q3 or Q4. Whether you use our system or whether you want to implement your own, we're going to help you do it faster, easier, and better because we're experts in it. It's what we do all day, and we have a team that works only on this. But one way or the other, I'm going to encourage everybody listening, make it a rock this quarter for you, the business owner, to implement a patient reactivation system. One, your coaches will thank you because as you go through those KPI scorecards, you'll be able to report things more accurately, more clearly, and you're going to have growth. If you are somebody listening to this podcast, you're interested in business growth, maybe you're on the verge of coaching, maybe you're a future coaching client, maybe you've been actively involved for a decade plus. The bottom line is you're here because you want to impact the lives of more people. So do it. And don't forget about the hundreds, if not thousands of people that you've already taken care of. So my big encouragement to everybody listening is make it a rock for you to institute a patient reactivation system and program. If you want to build it yourself, you can certainly do it. But if you want to do it faster and easier, we're happy to be a success partner and help you do that. So you can visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.
I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. That's exactly what people need to do. Thanks so much, Dr. Jeff, for being a success partner and having such a great product for people so we can help them go out and impact more folks. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.